这头发往下梳那一绺子干啥呀？
我喜欢，
就在那儿，
你管我？
你那个没劲的，
没劲是啥意思啊？
那小红书延时。
对，它一直都有延迟的，没关系，很正常。OK，好，Morning，得漱一下口。怎么感觉这上面有一粒芝麻？Alright. At my very extremely healthy congee this morning, so there might be some sesame on top of my teeth. Uh, and I think I've already got rid of it. So hopefully I look fine right now. I look fine. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. How does it feel? Like, I mean, like you guys are not in the morning time, right? You guys are not in the morning time, but you're saying good morning to me. Um, it must be quite interesting to say good morning to me, even though it's not morning time. Okay, it looks like today we have some new joiners in here because I saw Yu Nian must be a new joiner by asking me how old am I. Yeah, because I remember when I first started having live stream, there are people asking me like how old are you, etc. And sort of, the questions of those are pretty commonly seen whenever there are like new people in here. Somehow people are just very interested in knowing more around yourself, your personal information, things like, oh, okay, are you how old are you married, do you have a boyfriend, something like that. you know these are the kind of things people are always very interested in knowing. So that's actually a good sign for me. That means that this live stream has been pushed to more new friends in here. That is nice. Okay, so Union, if you want to know how old am I, you're gonna do one thing, which is gonna stay in my live stream for a long time, and eventually you will know. Okay, and also follow me if you haven't done so. For those of you who haven't followed me, don't forget to follow me. Okay, follow me please if you haven't done so, and ask me any question in the comment area. Any sort of questions. Any questions? Yeah. Any questions you have, just ask me in the comment area. Okay, and let's see whether I'm able to answer some of them or all of them. Yeah. Good morning. Good morning, my friend. Yeah, good to see all of you in here. Always. Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. Okay. Let's see. What are the topics we can discuss today? Okay. So one of the official recommended topic, one of the topics recommended by Red Note platform officially is actually to discuss about. Okay, a little bit messy. I'm gonna brush it. Okay, looks nicer now. Yeah. Your ring is very beautiful. Yeah, you think so? It's actually a whole set, like this earring and also this necklace and also the ring. This is a whole set. So it is the butterfly collection. You see, it's a butterfly collection. It's absolutely stunning. Definitely very beautiful, as you can see. So if you're interested, you could actually just go check my curation list. 如果喜欢的话，可以去我的小清单看一下哈，小清单看一下。这是一个好像是一个意大利品牌，然后他们的设计非常的精美，因为我自己本身也有买过很多奢侈品的那些首饰，那这一个的，I can say that the quality of this collection，它的这个品质哈，这个的品质真的是和那个你说的那些大牌啊，像 Gucci 啊、Chanel 等等的品质是一个层级的，非常好。但是呢，价格，of course, the price is only like 1/10 of the kind of price that if you purchase those accessories with a big large brand like Gucci, everything, but it's only 1/10 of the price. So definitely go check my curation list. Okay, yeah. 大家都好想你哈啊，Christy 好，谢谢你，谢谢你。对，因为这段时间，我之前有讲，就是工作确实是比较的忙一些，东西很多，所以很多时候我真的就是这一块儿就不太能够太顾得上啊。所以只能跟大家先说一声抱歉，就这段时间没有办法做到，没有真的没有办法做到，就是像之前一样，周一到周六每天早上2个小时。我们上上周去深圳出差了那一次回来，不是有跟大家分享说，有很大的一个收获嘛？那个以后的话，确实在整体的经营思路和战略上面做了非常大的调整。调整完了以后，就是相当于有很多的事情又开始从零到一要去进行很多基础的建设工作嘛，然后就会非常的忙，会非常的忙，所以很多时候就比较难以能够像之前一样啊，很固定的时间去播，然后呢一起去通知，因为很多时候，比如说你工作到比较晚，真的很累，然后第二天早上又要很早起来，然后突然间有什么样的事情，有什么样的会要开，你满脑子都会围绕着这个去转，所以就很抱歉哈，跟大家讲说没有办法像之前那样。So you guys could actually do one thing. So I'm saying like I sincerely apologize for the fact that I couldn't do this live stream as before. So dedicated like from Monday to Saturday, like every day 2 hours. Because nowadays what I am for this period of time, the focus is more around the startup project. So a lot of you guys know that I have been to this Shenzhen trip, business trip, and I told you guys this is one of the most fruitful business trip I ever had for the past several years. So what happened is that so after this business trip, we had this whole re how to say rethinking or like reorganizing the business plan and everything. We basically just start everything like analyzing everything from the head to the toe of the entire project. What are the things we are doing that is right? What are the things we are doing that is not right? So what are the like right procedure we should do? And we even thought about like switching the kind of sectors. Like for example, so I told you guys like when we first started, we started with like jewelry brand, right? Like Alchemia, everyone know about it. So what we did is like first of all we study like how to open the store on different platforms, right? And also even like how to set up a standalone website for ourselves. Like we have no idea what is the difference between selling things on those social media platforms versus on our standalone websites, and also how to do pricing. That is also something that we need to study, right? And sourcing, right? The products, okay, what is the reliable manufacturers? We actually been to like different places to check what might be the right thing to right manufacturer we want to work with, right? And also the factory check, etc., right? And also afterwards, there are also logistics. That is a big problem. Okay, even now, like I have to say, like when it comes to cross-border e-commerce, logistic is the biggest problems. She's teaching us free management or Salesforce courses. I'm not teaching that. Okay. So as a matter of fact, if I consider myself to be a quite good sales, because back then when I was in my company, in my very first company, well, as a matter of fact, I was definitely considered to be one of the top sales. So if you ask me to share some tips about like how to be a good sales, etc., I have so many things I can share. Yeah, but right now it's more about just sharing my personal experience when it comes to building my own startup, right? So I was saying like we started everything. So for those of you who are new in here who know nothing about me, a little bit about my background. Okay, so I started doing this live stream in January. Okay, and the reason why, well, actually, in the end of January, early February, the reason why I started doing live streaming is because of TikTok refugee wave. Back then, for those of you, if you guys remember, in like early February, late January, TikTok was banned in the US. As a result, a lot of American friends, instead of going to Meta or YouTube, those kind of platforms, they flooded to Red Note, which is a Chinese social media platform. So they did it simply because they want to show the government that they have a control of where they want to go. You can't just ban TikTok simply because it's a Chinese platform. So there was a lot of people coming to Red Note. So I, as a loyal Retinol user, noticed a lot of foreigners in here. So I started thinking that maybe it's a great opportunity to start for myself to communicate with a lot of foreigners in here. As you guys can tell that I do speak quite good English. So that's why in late January and early February, so that's how I started my new Retno account called Nytrix and started my live stream. So when I first started live stream, it was purely just out of you could call it out of interest, but back then I was also a little bit with a little bit purpose because back then I was also doing another startup project, which is an AI project, which we're still doing right now. And so that project was the users base, the target users of that project, that startup project I was doing back then was actually Americans. So that's why I was thinking like, since a lot of Americans are coming in here, why don't I just use this opportunity to get a lot of more connection with Americans? So potentially, first of all, I can get a lot of new uh, like I can get a like at least a free market survey and also do some promotion of my own startup project, like to increase the user base, right? And also on top of that, this could also be a golden opportunity for me to sort of get connected to Americans, right? To know more about, okay, what's going on in the US, what our real American people are about, right? So like that. So that's why I randomly just started this live stream. So the first live stream I still remember was me walking on the street just showing Shanghai. It was quite embarrassing. I have to say, like, it was not an easy thing to do a live streaming. So right now, I when I scroll down to see other people's live streaming, I notice there are some friends who basically just do one thing, which is just they would just walk on the street in Shanghai, and then sort of just showing people online what Shanghai is about, and they would just keep on talking. I tell you what, this is more embarrassing than I am in here to talk. It requires great courage because when I was doing that, my very first live stream was like that. My very first live stream was like that. I basically just take out a phone and just walk on the street and just showing the scenery of Shanghai and just started talking. So, that first live stream, nobody actually come in to watch. Nobody came in to watch at all, simply because I was this might be my first live stream, and also maybe I did not know I have to use some phone stabilizer. So somehow this video was always shaking. So for any users coming in here, it was hard to watch. Right. And that was the first one. And also it was super embarrassing. Like I personally I have a big pressure when I was walking on the street and talking in English and talking to a phone. It was actually a big challenge for me. So the very next day, I changed to another thing, which is I started to do a live stream at home, just showing my face and talk to the camera. And also, when I started doing it, I was basically not like this. And everything is very okay, I need to do this. Okay, so for those of you who haven't followed me, don't forget to follow me. And here is our followers group. For those of you who haven't joined our followers group, don't forget to join the followers group. This is our family, OK？没有关注的宝宝们可以关注一下，关注的宝宝们如果没有加入这个群的话，可以加入一下群，这个是我们的家人群，好吗？呀，家人群好吗？Yeah, so it was very interesting that so the very next day I started doing live stream at home, just using the camera. So when I did it the very second day, I didn't do it like today, where I actually would do a little bit makeup and also put on all those accessories and just make myself look very tidy and start talking. So when I first started doing it, I was basically just woke up and extremely early in the morning and no makeup at all. And even wearing my glasses look extremely a little bit nasty. Okay, I wouldn't call it extremely. So somehow, even with that kind of look, so many people just come to my live stream. They are so interested in knowing me and so interested in talking. And I remember there was one live stream, just within one live stream, I was able to get over 3,300, over 3,300 followers just in one live stream. That was crazy, crazy. But of course, at the beginning, when I started doing this live stream, I was also doing extremely long hours because my target audience back then was to all those foreigners, right? So if you want to talk to all the foreigners, you definitely need to get up early. That was my original thought, right? get up early. So the reason why I did that was because I also saw a video posted by one of the content creators here on Red Note. So she was basically saying that, you know what, everyone should do this. She's saying like, you know what, I just got up at 4:30 this morning and I started this live stream at around 4:30 and I basically did nothing. I was just be there and talk, and I have like more than 30 people online at the same time just watching me. This is crazy. I've never had that. So everyone should do it. So that's why I started doing it like that. And out of surprise that it's usually always like over 100 people online, sometimes even a lot more. So one of the interesting thing happened when I first started was that I did not know too much about the rules on this platform, right? So for those, a lot of you guys who has been in here for a long time, who has followed me since the very beginning, a lot of you guys who has been in here, watch my live streaming since a very early point of time. For example, like Louis the Cat, right? You started following me since a very early point of time when I still have, I only have like around, is it 50 or 500 followers, like extremely early stage. And then what happened is that you guys are in here. And then it was quite funny that you noticed that when I first started, like I was not like this. I was actually, to be honest, a little bit nervous every single day when I started this live stream. Those days of being banned, exactly. I did not know the rules. And so I got banned like literally every single day when I first started a live stream. I did not know that on those social media platforms, you're not allowed to talk about politics, you're not allowed to talk about economics, you're not allowed to talk about religion. So somehow I always talk about these three things. So I consider these three things to be the kind of topics that you can you'll be able to just dive very deep and share some real thoughts with your audience, right? So for example, if you're talking about the p started word, right, and you know people are always interested in that, especially for Americans and Europeans. I consider them to be more interested in those kind of topics than Chinese people. Well, as a matter of fact, Chinese people also love to talk about it in private. However, I did not know on social media that's not allowed, right? And also when it comes to those economics related topics, since when I first started my career, I work in largest one of the largest investment banks, so for sure like I know a lot about like economics, and also personally have a lot of view on those kind of topics, right? What kind of things that happens will eventually cause what, and so how do you see that? I talk about it all the time when I was back in work, right? So that's also something. And when it comes to religion, that's also a very interesting topic. So here in China, the kind of the main trend kind of religion is Buddhism and also Taoism, right? And there are so many things you could discuss around these topics. So when it comes to philosophy, right, how do you treat your life, and also, those kind of things. Like these are actually my most interested topics. So that's why I started talking about those topics. And unfortunately, these are not those kind of topics that's very welcome on this platform. So I got banned almost every single day. So every day was like a game, was like a challenge. It was so funny that every single day I was basically just trying to see how long can I last. How long can I last? 你看得像中国人怎么老外说外语？怎么老说外语啊？你是美籍华裔吗？我不是啊，我是土生土长的中国人，土生土长的中国人。我感觉今天有很多新进来的宝宝们，有认识很多新的朋友。首先非常欢迎大家，然后去回答一下这位宝宝的问题哈，为什么会说英文？是因为这是一个非常国际化的直播间，在这个直播间里有来自全世界五湖四海的朋友。之前我们做过一个。我做过一个统计吧，就是问一下大家来自哪里，你会发现基本上除了南极洲和北极洲以外，其他的所有州都有人，都有朋友在这个直播间里，所以因此我们会使用绝大部分时间是使用英文。这样的话呢，能够让所有的人都能更明白，好吗？希望大家理解。那么觉得有意思的宝宝也可以关注一下，好吗？Yeah. So it is also so interesting that when I first started this live stream, I got banned every single day. So it was so funny. Like when I was talking about a certain interesting topic, all of a sudden I just got banned. And every day, I guess the worst time was like the after I started live streaming for only 18 minutes, 18, 1 8, okay, 18 minutes. Like I got banned immediately after that. So every day was like a race, like whether I was able to just do it for a long time. And to be honest, like I never know that these are like what are considered to be sensitive topics or what of the things that is not considered to be sensitive topics. Like I feel like I'm not talking anything wrong and then anything bad, right? I'm just showing some neutral opinions. I was just showing people what's the kind of facts that's happening in here. So later on, what really I did afterwards was like, I feel so annoyed. So that's why I sort of was able to just really try to, through the connection, get to know the people who work inside Red Note. And then somehow there was a friend who really take a look at my account and take a look at my past live stream. And then, okay, that person told me, okay, these are the things you should not say. So he gave me a very specific examples of the places like, okay, you see, so for this part, you talk about this. So this is not encouraging here. So that's the reason why you got banned. Oh, okay, then comes to the next part. You see, some people are commenting this and that in here, and that is the reason why you got banned for this live stream. So they gave me several examples, like very detailed guidance. I have to say, like very thankful for that. And afterwards, like I got to know. So right after that guidance, I immediately never suffer from those kind of problems again. Like no ban at all. Okay. So it was like pretty rarely that I got banned. I remember afterwards, like almost I only got banned like 2 to 3 times afterwards. It was only because like I remember that was one time was falsely banned. So I appealed. It's almost like a court. Like I appealed. I told them like, you actually banned me for the wrong reason. So they apologized back, actually said like, oh, you're right. We banned you for the wrong reason. You shouldn't be banned, right? So that's one time. And there was another time was because if you guys remember, there was one time I was actually reciting a poem. Not reciting, I was actually reading poems in the live stream. Yeah, I was reading a poem by Ty, Tiger. Tiger. Uh, yeah, in the live stream, if you guys remember, how many guys have you guys remember that? Yeah. So I was yeah, so I was I was reading that poem. We have actually read a lot of poems, but somehow like I read this poem and also I got this ban because of that. Yeah. So there's still a lot of rules that's very strict on this platform, like have to abide. Yeah. So somehow I was able to do the live streaming from end of January up to now. It's almost half a year, right? It's actually half a year. Right? It's 1月底、2月底、3月底、4月底、5月底、6月底. It's actually 5 months, right? 5 months. If we do another one month, then we will be doing it for 6 months, like half a year, right? So, and also a lot of people notice that so starting from around March, right? That was the time I started to really think about what are the things I can do using this kind of opportunity, right? So, for example, back then, the first thing I tried, a lot of people notice is like since I have obtained so many followers in here, and also judging from the fact a lot of people are asking me in the comment about like, hey, can you tell me how to travel in China? Hey, can you tell me how to find a job in China? Because so many Americans, when they flooded to Red Note, the reason behind that is because they want to show they're rebellious, that they cannot be controlled by the government, right? But when they really come to Red Note, they notice one thing, which is, oh, okay, there's so many great contents on Red Note made by Chinese people. And what are the contents that would be made by Chinese people? Either it's about our daily life or it's about the kind of things we consider interesting, right? So eventually they get to see, a lot of foreigners got to see so many, for example, good life. A lot of people are living here in China. They never realize, oh my god, so you Chinese people are having such a low price living cost, right? So I one of two posts I made, two of the posts I made got like so many new followers and also so many likes, and like a bunch of people are discussing in the comments area under two of my posts, and I pinned them to the top. If you guys go to my homepage, you could still see them now. So one is about my trip to the supermarket to show what's the grocery price in here. And also the second one is about me going to the hospital and to show people what's the entire process of seeing the doctor and get the medicines. Okay, guys, follow me please if if you haven't done so. Okay, if you haven't done so. Yeah, sort of things like that. And it's so funny that so first of all, like so many Americans, especially for those Americans, they were surprised, like way surprised by how cheap everything is in here. And I guess people are surprised by how cheap it is in here, not because they are interested in my shopping trip. What's the grocery store like in here? Because later on, I also went on a business trip in Hong Kong, and I also made a similar kind of post of my grocery store trip in Hong Kong to show the kind of what are the things they're selling in the grocery store in Hong Kong and what's the price. And that post was not viral at all. Was not viral at all. Nobody was there to see it. However, when it comes to this particular post about the grocery store price in Changchun. Okay, that was my husband home. Oh my God, there's so many people there are leaving comments, and to be honest, it's so funny. You guys have to know, like, it's so funny that I can share a secret with you guys. Okay, I can share with you a secret. So all the foreigners, so whenever it comes to my posts, I notice one thing, which is like Chinese people become more patriotic when it comes to commenting and replying to all the foreigners under my post. Right. So you would notice a lot of posts under a lot of posts that I made are usually the comparison between East and West, China versus America, something like that, right? And it's so interesting, like there are some people making contents with the same kind of topic but it's targeted to Chinese people only. Like for example, if there's someone who's only making a post showing the grocery store price in China using Chinese only to the Chinese audience, you probably would see so many people in the comment area just say one thing, which is like, oh, that is too expensive. They probably would say something that is bad, okay, not so good, or they would complain about, okay, the living cost is still too high. Oh, we're having not so good life. However, it's so interesting, like when it comes to my post, which is to do a comparison between East and West, China and America, like all the Chinese people, they basically just tell all the foreigners like something like, oh, we're living a fantastic life. You know what? Like our price here is so low. What kind of price she's posting there? That is too expensive. The kind of price I enjoy here is even lower. Something like that. It is so funny. And I observed that kind of difference. And also same with the kind of post I made about hospital trip, right? I got sick at the beginning of the year, and I was a quite big one, and was a like a pneumonia. So I went to the hospital and like everything, and sort of like, oh, okay. And then people were surprised to see how efficient and also how efficient and also how cheap it is to see, how convenient it is to see the doctor. So people would be amazed by the fact that they don't need to really make an appointment or go to see a clinic first before able to get to the big hospital and have so many like body check, and you can get the result literally within half an hour. And the cost of doing that is like so cheap. Everyone was amazed by that, all the foreigners. And then so many Chinese people in the common area just started to saying one thing, which is like, oh, that is pretty commonly seen here in China. In my place, we get a result within 10 minutes. Okay. The reality is that, well, they say that a lot, like they comment a lot of the good things about this their own life, etc., under my posts. However, when it comes to their own life, comes to their own post, if it's a Chinese post, they actually complain a lot too. That's a very funny thing. Yeah. What about the purchasing power parity? Well, so even considering about purchasing power parity, still we know this one thing, which is China is cheaper. We have done that. So a lot of people, you notice, well, some also Americans will raise those kind of questions. I noticed like under this post, there were so many discussion. You guys could still go check this post there, right? And a lot of people were discussing it around those kind of price versus salary. And since I only show the price, and a lot of Americans were there to say like, hey, you only talked about the price, you didn't talk about the salary, right? So if there is no point of talking about the price without mentioning anything about the salary, right? So we need to talk about purchasing power parity, something like just you mentioned. Can you speak Chinese? 可以啊。听不懂啊，听不懂的宝宝们可以去下载有一个 APP 叫讯飞听见，有其他宝宝推荐的哈，有一个 APP 叫讯飞听见，这个 APP 下完了以后，讲英文的时候可以有中文字幕，所以主要要看一下哈，你们来直播间想要的目的是什么？ 大部分人来的人，中国宝宝要么就是学中文的啊，要么学英文的，要么就是希望跟老外能够有更多的沟通的，所以会来这个直播间。OK，那这种情况下可以使用一个 APP 叫讯飞听见啊，可以用一个讯飞听见。今天滤镜很好看，今天用的滤镜和之前是一样的，可能今天状态比较好一点，心情比较好一点。谢谢你啊，Christy。啊，对对，讯飞听见。You still look good though. Thank you. Yeah, somehow I do look good, right? Today, many people are saying like I look good. Okay, yeah. So, okay, continue with this topic. I was saying that where were I? Where I? 就是很多时候为什么 the reason why I didn't really respond to some of the comments in here since I started talking about topic is because once I stopped replying to the comments, I just forgot what where were I? Oh, okay, I remembered. I was talking about those posts I made, right, about this kind of trip to hospital, etc. And somehow there were a lot of people coming in here and discuss under the comment areas, right? We were discussing about that, right? It was so funny that so you would see like all the Chinese people under my comments were basically just talking so good about this country. Everything is so good. Oh, it looks like they are living a fantastic life. And so that's the reason why like a lot of foreigners after seeing all of that, they get those kind of response. I'm pretty sure in other content creators posts as well. So every Chinese people are just telling them what an amazing life they are living. Okay, I also remember we were talking about purchasing power parity, right? Purchasing power parity. Okay, so for those of you who do not know what is purchasing power parity, it basically just means like how much you earn. So every country would have different prices of different stuff, right? But we have to consider, the kind of price together with their salary to see how people are able to afford one thing or another, right? So that's the kind of thing we were discussing. So back then, what I did, I noticed that, well, a lot of people would also ask me that they basically were saying challenging me in my post that okay, there's no point of you just showing the price without mentioning anything about the salary. So they asked me about the kind of salary here in China. I didn't say anything about, I didn't reply at all because there are plenty Chinese people out there just replying to those kind of challenges. They were all saying that okay, so this is our salary, this is our average salary in my city. Like so many people just replying to those kind of question by telling and sharing what's the salary they're having right now in their city, and then somehow they're just saying one thing, which is, you know what, we have a relatively lower salary than what you can get in your country. However, given the purchasing power parity or given the kind of salary, how much we can afford all those stuff with this amount of salary, I can tell you proudly that we're living a very comfortable life. Everyone was just saying that. It was so funny. We call it 事件边界。啥叫事件边界？第一次听说这个词哈，事件边界。Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. So I get a general feeling. Okay, I get a general feeling that, well, even overall speaking, the kind of salary here in China is definitely lower than the U.S., right? Because they have such a big inflation problem. And when it comes to the price, so say if we say the gap between salary are like this, then the cost of living between two countries like this. So at the end of the day, what I get is that people in here are living a more comfortable life than out there. So that's the kind of feeling I have, unless you're able to work in those large companies, right? So I also share with you. So last weekend, I was able to meet my one of my best friend who's currently living in Silicon Valley, a Chinese girl called Jennifer, and then she's currently working in Google, right? And she shared with me the kind of life she had. So, for example, she was able to have 7 months of maternity leave, which she could take according to her will. Like she didn't need to take 7 months all at once. She could take like 3 months now and go back to work for another 2 months and take 1 month off, like altogether 7 months of maternity leave, right? And also inside her company, if they want to do some test tube baby, the kind of cost can also be reimbursed, something like that. So I feel like if you're able to work in those large tech company like Google, Amazon, Nvidia, Tesla, whatever, right, in the US, I guess the kind of pay you get and also the kind of benefits you get out there is pretty good and pretty decent, even though the living cost is pretty high, right? So if you're like ordinary, you're not working those large companies, you're just ordinary kind of occupation job company, then it looks like comparatively speaking, the kind of living, the kind of life quality here in China seems to be better. I still remember vividly when I first started a live stream. I also do this kind of thing, which is I would link to people. I would open up this mic so people could come and connect, and we can talk online together. I remember meeting this girl who's a Gen Z, okay, a Generation Z, a Gen Z girl. And I love doing that. I ask people in my live stream, hey, just tell me what's your generation. Are you Gen Y, Gen X, and Z? Just tell me in the comments. And I noticed like majority of people are actually Gen X or Gen Z, right? Gen Y or Gen Z. So there's a Gen Z girl, definitely very young, right? And she is teaching in senior high school in the US, right? And as a matter of fact, that is considered to be a quite decent job here in China. And you're supposed to be able to live a pretty good job, a pretty good life by being a senior high school teacher, right? I still remember several weeks ago when I went back to my senior high school to visit the teachers because they somehow had this alumni event, and I got to see the teacher that I haven't seen for the past 20 years. Oh my god, they look the same. They didn't age at all. They didn't age at all. So I'm pretty sure if I saw someone who work in some other industry and I haven't seen them for like 20 years, I'm pretty sure that they would look so much, so much older. But like those all of those like senior high school teachers that haven't seen them for such a long time, they look just like before. They look just like before. Like they didn't age at all. So I guess like as a senior high school teacher here in China, I guess the kind of life you live is pretty okay, pretty good, right? So it was so funny that, well, that little girl, that girl who's a senior high school teacher, an American senior high school teacher, a Gen Z, a girl who told me that, well, as a matter of fact, she has to work two jobs. She has to work two jobs at the same time in order to afford herself living. And also, we did that before, asking people, hey, what's the living cost per month for a single person without a family? And that kind of cost is also insanely high, right? So I was very surprised to see all of that. And okay, yeah, so that's all the kind of things I learned from doing this live stream. Of course, a lot of good knowledge. And also, in we were talking about in March, a lot of people witnessed me within how I started to think about what kind of business we could do like through this, right? And since a lot of people were in here after seeing how amazing life we are having here in China, we're always asking the question, hey, can I actually live in China? Can I work in China? Can I travel to China? So back then, I view a lot of people in here would notice I was doing one thing, which is I was just share with people, okay, what are the kind of advice about visiting in China, working in China. And also I even created a WhatsApp group asking people to join, because the original thought was like, okay, so if a lot of people are interested in visiting China, so maybe this is a good business opportunity. If I'm able to collaborate with a lot of travel agencies, and this could be a potentially a good place to the service that I could provide to all those foreigners who are interested in coming to China, right? However, unfortunately, what happens is that since I started doing it, I noticed that this is not an easy business, because I'm not doing travel agency myself. I'm collaborating with travel agencies. So there is actually a big risk. Like, what if the travel agency I work with are not reliable? So I must go on. So for example, for those kind of business trips, if I recommend, then I have to go to take those trips myself to really experience, okay, if this trip is good or not, right? So I tell you what, I am a really reliable person. For all my previous clients or my colleagues, if they ask them to use one word to describe me, a lot of them would use the word reliable to describe me, right? So I feel like I'm very I feel like this is a really effort taking kind of business. Well, every business is effort taking, but this one is like particularly time consuming and effort taking. So I feel like compared with other kind of things you could do, this doesn't seem to be the best kind of business opportunity. So that's why I started thinking about other ways of doing it. And after doing some research, we noticed like cross border e commerce is a big opportunity out there. and it is definitely something worth doing. And none of us have been in the cross-border e-commerce industry before. We noticed there is a good business opportunity, so we have to started learning everything from scratch. So a lot of you guys would then witness me started this business from March, and at the very beginning, we were pretty clueless, like no idea how to do it at all. So it was like doing a lot of research and then thinking about what are the things to start, right? So the reason why we started with jewelry was because comparing with some other stuff, if you want to sell refrigerators or the kitchenware to the US, then the cost is pretty high, right? So a refrigerator is expensive itself, and also when it comes to those logistics fee, that is huge, right? So when it comes to jewelry, that is like tiny. So if you are looking at those kind of earrings, right? So they're very small. So when it comes to logistic cost, that is low. And also the entire thing can be very easily managed. So that's how we started with that. And but one thing we failed to think about is like if it is something that we consider to be easy to start, it must be also something that other people would consider easy to start as well. So like right after the training in Shenzhen, we noticed that this is not the right this is not how to say the best place to start a business because it is an area with a lot of competition already. Mhm. And guys, follow me, please. How many of you guys haven't followed me? How many of you guys haven't followed me? Don't forget to follow me, okay? Follow me, please, if you haven't done so. And also, for those of you who have already followed me, join my team. Okay, you could click this red heart by joining my team, and also you could also join this chat group in here. Chat group in here that is our family. Yeah, and of course, if possible, you could also tap this interaction button below to send me some yellow tickets called 人气票. That's gonna help boost up the popularity of this live stream, right? Yeah. So also what happened later is that so I we discussed that okay we discovered that okay so for example for jewelry, okay, so that is a business that's very relatively, or that's not easy at all, but it's relatively easy to start because you do not need to have a lot of invest a lot of money in advance to start up this business. But still, like starting up everything is quite time consuming and also quite hard, like every part of it. There are some, you know, some traps waiting for you to just fall in and make mistakes and climb out of the trap and restart all over again. The biggest one problem is about the logistics. Logistics is, I sincerely hope that there is some one logistic company that can really solve the problems and set up a good standard for this industry. Yeah, that's a big problem. But sort of back to this topic. So discovered that jewelry is business, but it's a business to start easy, relatively easy to start. However, because it is relatively easy, so many people when they first started, they would actually consider either like jewelry or like 3C products, those lightweight and small gadget kind of things to start with. And then, but if you want to start a new startup, founder should be very expensive. What do you mean by founder should be very expensive? Are you talking about like 你是说什么叫做 founder should be very expensive？你的意思是说，就是如果要去做创业的话，前期投入是要很大的，是吗？你是这个意思吗？啊，是这个意思吗？嗯这一点我其实不是很认同哈，不是很认同，这个要去看的，要去看的，要去看你要做什么。Okay, yeah, and then so what happened later on is cost too much, you know, rent a room, also maintain the ordinary life. No, why do you need to rent a room? Why do you need to rent an office to start up? Why do you need to rent an office? Like why can't you just start up at your home? So renting it. So one of the mistakes a lot of people make when they want to start a project, same for me. Okay, I also made the very same mistake. Is you thought that, oh, okay, so you have to do this and that and that and that. Okay, everything must be really fully prepared, then you can start up. That is so wrong. Okay, if you guys remember the story about how Apple was founded by Steve Jobs, right? It was basically just in their backyard, the garage, right? They just basically built everything in the garage, and then from the garage to a big company like today. So you don't need to rent an office to an office is the least needed thing to start up a new company. You don't need to have to rent an office to register a company. Okay, you can just register a company, and then it's it's about what you deliver and what you want to do. Office is definitely not necessary. It's definitely not necessary. Okay, so I feel like, yeah, especially for e-commerce, like there are a lot of business. I feel like if you are smart enough, there are just plenty of opportunities out there. So, for example, nowadays it's the AI era, right? A lot of people are saying that, oh, with the advancement of AI, okay, AI has really come to our life. Oh, I fear that eventually a lot of people will lose their jobs and AI will do everything. And then eventually all the people, we will have no opportunity at all to really be rich, to make new business opportunity, etc. So I definitely disagree with that. Whenever there is a change, there is business opportunity. Whenever there is change, there will be some wealth migration from these part of people to that part of people, right? You need to have change. Then some people would notice there are some opportunities that emerge when a change happens, and then grab those opportunities and then become successful, right? So every single year you will notice there are new rich, and they sort of thrive, right? For example, this year it's definitely about Pop Mart. It's definitely about Pop Mart, right? But if you look at, so they're saying that the founder of Pop Mart has become the richest person here in China. They're saying it like that, right? So, but if you look at 10 years ago, 20 years ago, well, would you notice anything like Pop Mart? There's nothing like Pop Mart, right? So it's only when this whole world is changing, especially now, for example, what happened? What is the change that we're experiencing today? What is the change we're experiencing today? So, to be honest, in my opinion, I think that the kind of change we're experiencing today is that, well, the global economy isn't at its peak time. Like everyone is pretty much suffering. So that's why, like, we want to spend money to buy stuff that doesn't cost you a lot, but could give you a lot of emotional joy. So that's my opinion, right? So Pop Mart are the perfect items out there, right? So those are the items that you actually do not need to spend a lot of money on. You could just spend like 20 bucks, 30 bucks. Like you can buy a very good doll from Pop Mart, and also the mystery box, right? You do not know what will you will get from opening those mystery box. Those kind of things that give you the kind of joy that you cannot get elsewhere, right? So if you go traveling, that's a big expense, and then or if you want to buy something like a luxury bag, that is also extremely costly. But now by owning a Labubu, even though Labubu it's not very expensive. They also did a very good thing promoting Labubu together with luxury. So by owning the Labubu, you feel like you're owning a luxury, but it's so affordable. So yeah, then eventually, people, this is the kind of thing people want for this era. And then if you're able to spot that and do this business, you would also notice one thing here in China nowadays, like everywhere, in every shopping mall, there is just some store that just sells those kind of Walmart kind of stuff there, right? So this is the kind of thing we need in this era. If you're able to spot this opportunity and just grab this opportunity and do something, then you'll become successful. So whenever there is a change, there is opportunity. The kind of world you do not want to live in, at least I do not want to live in, is the kind of world that do not have any change, right? If there's no change, then there is no opportunity at all, right? So that's kind of thing. So if you are talking about, oh, okay, if you want to do startup, then you must have a lot of money. That is absolutely not true. One of the things, like in my last AI project, like the AI project I said last year we did, is that, okay, we spend a lot of efforts by building this app. Okay, so we were always like designing the UI, the interface. Oh, and also we're thinking, guessing what are the things people want, and we try to build everything inside the app. We spend a lot of time, efforts, and also money to build it, and eventually discovered that some of the things are not really liked by the people. So the most important thing is just, and we later on learned that it's never about just investing a lot in the beginning, because you do not know what the market likes. Your personal preference might not be the market's personal preference, right? So, for example, the kind of thing I really like doesn't really represent like everything would like it. Everyone would like it. Yeah. For example, Palmart has so many different IPs, like so many different kind of cute dolls, right? But why La Boo Boo becomes such a big hit? Why not some other kind of things they are selling in Pop Mart become so popular, right? It was a mystery. it was pretty much a mystery, right? So you do not know which IP will become popular. You have really need to test the market to see what's the kind of things people like. So the biggest lesson I learned from the startup is that I just do not decide for the market. I need to first build something, okay, using the minimal amount of cost to build something, and then launch it immediately as soon as possible and test the market using the data to analyze, oh, whether I'm going the right way or the wrong way. So if the data tells me that, okay, even though I consider it to be a good opportunity, it is actually not, then I should just switch direction quickly as possible. And then eventually, if I can do it, like, oh, okay, small investment. Oh, okay, find it wrong. Oh, switch investment, right? Oh, keep going. Oh, okay, bigger investment. Oh, wrong. Like change direction. Go, go, go. Eventually, like by doing that, I'll be able to using the minimal amount of cost to build something successful, right? So that's my opinion. It can be affordable if you know how and where to start it from and with. Yeah, I also noticed. I remember also seeing the story, which is just a twins and American twins. So together with their parents, they were able to build a business with like millions and millions of revenue every single year, U.S. dollar revenues. Okay, so the reason why they're able to do that is they actually didn't start anything. They just so the twins are really huge fan of those hot baths. Kind of people really like hot bath, like me. Like for example, I really like to go to hot baths, like just soak your entire body in hot water and feels like a lot relaxing, right? So when it comes to those like hot bath, they have this how to say those 浴球, those like small balls. When you put those balls in the water, somehow they would become to a lot of bubbles will come out. And then so inside those bubbles there are some for example roses or milk or whatever to make this water better for treating your body, something like. What is it called? What is it called? I do not know what is it called. 这个 in Chinese is called 浴球. In Chinese is called 浴球. 浴球英文怎么讲？浴球英文怎么讲？不知道。有没有宝宝知道？或者帮我查一下，在评论区告诉我。Yeah. So the twins, they were actually 14 years old or 15 years old. Like it's really, really young. So basically, what they did is, I think in the U.S. you guys have those kind of weekend neighborhood market where like different household would just take out some stuff they want to sell, and then okay, people from other families would see like, oh, if this is something I want to buy, then I will be buying it. Oh, okay, if other people think that is something I want to buy, then I go buy it, right? Something like those kind of 浴球洗澡泡澡的那个浴，泡洗浴的浴，球是一颗球的球，就是那个泡澡的那个浴球。就那个浴球，你放到那个水里边，就会有很多泡泡出来，然后你就一浴缸的那个水，你就可以很舒适的躺下去泡了。这个浴球英文怎么讲？我真不知道这个英文怎么讲。对，Yeah，and also so one of the thing these twins did is that so I think like in the US they have a lot of those kind of weekend market, right, where every household could take out the kind of stuff they want to sell to their neighbors. The neighbors would also do the very same thing, and they have those kind of market. And then like different people would just buy from each other, right? So these teenager twins in their like 14s or 15 years old, it's called bath sponge. But it's not a sponge, it's more like a ball. Okay, it's a bath ball, something like that. When you place the bath ball in water, a lot of bubbles will come out, something like that. Okay, but anyhow, I guess you guys already get it what I'm saying, right? So what happens later is that this what were I talking about? So yeah, so the teenagers, the twin teenagers, they made those bath balls at home because both of them likes taking a hot bath themselves, right? So they made those balls at very beginning for themselves. But later on, they also made some extra balls to sell in those weekend markets to their neighbors. And every time they sell it, it's just a big hit. Like everyone just buy it from them. So later on, they started to making more, and they started selling it on Facebook and then on their standalone website, and then just buy it from very tiny thing and becomes a bigger market, right? So you ask me like, oh, okay, so teenager twins, how much money would they have? Or did they really invest a lot of money? So did they rent an office? They didn't rent an office at all. They were just making those kind of bath balls at home, right? They didn't use an office at all. And also, like, did they really invest a lot money? Oh, like building the factory or like finding a factory to manufacture all those bath balls for them to sell. Do they do that? No. Basically just did one thing, which is they just made those bath balls at homes by themselves, and then so started selling them in their weekend markets to test the market, right? So of course, like they didn't realize it's testing the market. However, it is, right, testing the market. And if, oh, okay, it actually become a big hit, a lot of people like it, and then they start from small and to bigger, 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 and then later on they had a factory and making all those kind of things. So you know, so from those kind of, so I can also quote another example. I remember also seeing another twins. Okay, that's another twin. Oh, somehow like these are all twins. So they're another twins, but of course they are in their 26 years old, not like so young as those teenagers. So they sold those how to say 乳贴, the nipple how to say 乳贴啊乳贴怎么讲 how to say the nipple cover, yeah, the nipple cover. So like for especially for ladies when it comes to summer, right? A lot of girls like to wear like sleeveless kind of clothes, and sort of like it's better to just have a nipple cover rather than wearing a bra, right? Doesn't look good, and also it's pretty hot. So that's why like nipple cover is a very good item for them. So and basically what they did is the reason why they became very successful, they were actually able to get a very big check for their initial investment. And the only reason they were able to do that is because they noticed like TikTok shop was opened, and then they noticed there's a change. Okay, TikTok back then was not a e-commerce platform at all. Oh, okay, it becomes an e-commerce platform because a lot of people were using TikTok to promote their own stuff and then sell their own stuff. So that's why, okay, they took really good advantage of their乳天的英文是 nipple cover 哈，OK，那我说的是对的。好的，谢谢 Little Christy。Yeah, so basically so what they did is like they really take advantage of this opportunity and using TikTok as the marketing platform to sell nipple cover. So as a matter of fact, for all the girls, we all know that nipple cover is nothing new. It is not a new product, and a lot of people have it. And there are plenty of nipple covers out there in Amazon. There are many stores that's selling nipple covers out there. And for those of us who have used it, we all know there's no difference between this nipple cover versus that nipple cover. They're basically the same material, right? And also when it comes to the cost, to be honest, it's just a pretty similar cost, and majority of them I'm pretty sure are manufactured here in China. So it's not the kind of product that you can do a lot of things to make sure that it can be very different from others, can make your product stand out a lot. But one thing that these twins did is that they marketed on TikTok, and they used a new way to market it. So they work with a lot of new KOLs and content creators on TikTok to sell the nipple cover. And also they made a very beautiful package for this nipple cover. So that's why they're able to sell this nipple cover at a higher price and to more people. And somehow they were able to realize big sales in a very small period of time. So you asked me, okay, how much money did they really invest in this thing? Did they really rent an office to do this business? I'm pretty sure at the very beginning, no. It's just twins that figuring out, okay, how to do this entire thing at home, right? Definitely not rent an office. So the first thing that comes to your mind that okay, if I ever want to start a business, I need first to rent an office. That is a definitely no no. Definitely no no. Speaking as an entrepreneur myself, renting an office is the least thing you need. And also look nowadays, even look at those large company, okay, extremely large company. For example, for those of you, do you guys know about Web3 industry? Do people know about Web3 industry? Well, at least people all know about Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin belongs to the Web3 industry, and inside this industry, there is one company that is so famous. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have heard about it, which is Binance. Okay, so Binance is right now one of the biggest, well, actually, if not the biggest, crypto exchange platforms. Right. So those crypto exchange platforms, Binance is the biggest one, and well, I think like majority of their employees work from home. So for such a large company that they do not have an office where people just gather together and work, so they all of them work basically at home remotely, remotely at home. So you do not see there is an office that is like called finance building, or like those. For example, you would definitely see a Tencent building, right? A Google campus, Google building, something like that. You do not see a building that's called Binance building. And it is so interesting to see that it is so interesting to see that like some I remember, so they were saying that in the Harvard MBA course, Harvard MBA course, so it is quite famous for the fact that they have a lot of case studies. Okay, so for Harvard, for Harvard MBA course, they have a lot of case studies. So one of the case studies are actually around how you are able to manage business like finance. Like, how are they able to run a company with thousands of employees but no office at all? Like, everyone is working remotely. How are you able to still keep this company working? So if such a large company, such a big company, so there was a period of time, there was also saying that a founder of Binance is the richest person in China. Okay, right now it's a pop mart, but before they were saying it was the guy who founded Binance, right? He's a Chinese, but immigrated to Canada, so Canadian, Chinese Canadian. Yeah, but like actually a very Chinese, right? So the kind of thing happens is that they were saying that, okay, it's pretty like a legend, like how you can able to found a company without the need to rent an office, but still have so many employees, right? And you're able to manage so many employees. And it's so also so funny that so that's why that tells us one thing. If a large company like that, such a large company like that could, run a run the company without renting an office, then renting an office is for sure not necessary for anyone who's building a business from scratch. Yeah, to be honest, the God encourage you become a good person. What are you talking about? Yeah, let's see. What are the things people are asking? Yeah. Hi, pretty. Fluent English Chinese. Rarely seen on red note. Thank you, Wendy. Hi, my friends. Welcome to join this live stream. I noticed there are a lot of new friends in here today, which is fantastic. But for those of you who haven't followed me, don't forget to follow me. Okay. 没有关注的宝宝们可以关注一波哈，没有关注宝宝们可以关注一波。For those of you who haven't followed me, don't forget to follow me. And for those of you who haven't joined our followers club, don't forget to join the followers club in here. Okay? Yeah. So yeah，陈什么江啊？陈这个陈浦江是吗？这个是溥仪的溥是吗？他谁呀、为什么你那么恨他？我都不认识他，他是谁呀、Yeah. So I guess like in my life, I think the decision to be an entrepreneur myself is definitely one of the best decisions I have ever made. I am really happy that I took up this courage to become an entrepreneur myself. It was really not a decision. It was really go according to the flow. Like up to a point, I just felt like I really wanted to be an entrepreneur and do startup. I just no longer wanted to go back to the office, even though back then for that period of time a lot of people were just reaching out to me and seeing if I can work for them, offering me really high position and really good salary. And I just felt like I do not want to work for anyone anymore. I just want to work for myself. And I also noticed like the moment I became entrepreneur, every single day I was learning. Learning, the learning curve is so steep, steep to a point it's even. Wait, is it vertical or horizontal? And I always mix up which is vertical, which is horizontal. Like goes is this is vertical or this is horizontal? This is vertical or this is horizontal? 我总是英文的垂直和水平啊，我总是搞不清楚。英文的说法那个垂直和水平，我总是搞不清楚啊。It's vertical. Okay, thank you, my friend. So this is there any like secret that you guys can share, like how to remember which one is vertical, which one is horizontal? I always mix them up. I know one is vertical, one is horizontal, but I just don't know which one is vertical, which one is horizontal. I just remember one time, but the very next day I just forgot it. Yeah, so I feel like my learning curve is so steep. It's steep to a point like it's not like a slope, it's like vertical. Like every single day it's like vertical. Horizon is horizontal. Oh yeah, that's true. Horizon is horizontal. That's a good way to remember it. Okay. Hand to hand. Oh, okay. Hand to hand, horizontal. Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, Lee the cat, and also thank you, Desma. Yeah, thank you. These are good ways to remember. Yeah. Horizon. Okay, horizon is horizontal and hand to hand, that is okay. Now I remember it. Now I get it. Okay. I don't think I will ever mix it up again. Okay, so this is horizontal, this is vertical. Yeah, I only need to remember one thing. I'll be able to remember the very next thing, the other thing, very easily. Yeah. So yeah, so I feel like this is definitely one of the best decision I ever made, right? To become an entrepreneur. And every single day I could feel like I'm learning so much more than I was learning back then in working in for a large company and just doing the kind of job I'm supposed to do. So one of the things that I noticed that if I work in a large company, so the reason why it becomes a large company is because they were able to just cut all the kind of jobs into small pieces, right? And everyone only needs to dedicate their own small piece. So you do not need to know everything. You only need to focus on your small part and just be very expertise at the kind of stuff you want to do, right? 听不懂，但是还是想听。娱乐有有可以那个下载那个一个东西叫讯飞听见啊，讯飞听见好，那个讯飞听见下载完了以后就会有这个中文字幕可以出来了，这样的话就可以帮助你更好的去听，好吗？What's this live stream about? Sharing entrepreneurship insights. So actually, different days we will talk about different topics. So today, I usually do not set up what kind of topics we want to discuss every single day. I usually start from nothing and then like really see what's the flow going on. What are the question people asking in the comment area, and we will discuss around that. There's no specific topic, right? And then because this is a very international live stream, like I said, there are people from literally everywhere. So whenever I start talking about a certain topic, people would also share about their thoughts and about their own country from their own perspective. So somehow, I consider that to be quite interesting experience. 可以一边听你说一边翻译嘛？对对对，叫讯飞听见。讯飞听见叫讯飞听见哈，那个东西好像是他是说就是在讲的过程当中会有中文字幕直接出来，会有中文字幕直接出来，可以尝试一下看一下呗。嗯，对，Yeah. So yeah, so I was saying that okay, yeah, so I feel like because like for those large companies, the reason why they can function so well is because they ask everyone to just focus on the kind of part they only need to focus on. They do not need to think about many things else. They only need to do their small part. So the other day I was also discussing. So I went to I also share with friends that I went to Red Note's office. Is it last week or the week before last week? Went to the Red Note office. So before somehow I became one of their their live streamer or content creator that work very closely with them. So that's why they invited me to visit their office, right? So I went to visit their office, and then it was very interesting that this girl like I was having lunch with and also having coffee with. Later on, we actually just started talk about Pinduoduo or the parent company for Timu. Okay, a lot of people might not know Pinduoduo, especially foreigners, but you guys must know Timu, right? Pinduoduo is the Chinese parent company for Timu. So we also have this Chinese version app called Pinduoduo here in China. So the international version, American version, is called Timu, right? So many of you guys have used it as well. So sort of the kind of things on Timu is so cheap, right? And this is a very legendary company as well. So back then, the e-commerce world here in China was pretty quite mature. It was taken by Alibaba, and the first one is Alibaba, and the second is Jingdong JD. Okay, so everyone was either using Taobao or using Jingdong. Like, if you want to become one of the players in the e-commerce field, it would be extremely hard for you, right? So, still, given those kind of competition, Pinduoduo was able to find a way out. So they focus specifically on those market that is pretty how to say. So they specifically focus on the market of low income people, and then they provide a lot of stuff with extremely cheap price. 胡萝卜是，你每天这么说都把我哄得好开心啊，哄得很开心。Yeah, 谢谢. Okay, so for those of you who haven't followed me, don't forget to follow me. Okay, yeah, so that was pretty legendary. However, so that's why like when I first quitted my very first job and wanted to return back to Shanghai, I also interviewed their company. So Pinduoduo was not just for the fact that their employee benefits is extremely bad, that there are people working in this company, even though they earn relatively higher salary, but they work nonstop. So every single day they get to the office pretty early, and then they get off the office pretty late. And also, there's also saying that if you go to the toilet, there is a countdown in the toilet to make sure that you don't stay in the toilet for a long time, something like that. It was they were famous for that. And I didn't know it. I knew I heard about it, but I didn't know it was that bad. So I also got this opportunity, and then I sort of just go there and had this interview, and then it was a quite interesting experience. And so they offered me back then with the kind of position they offered me was a pretty senior position. So the kind of reporting line, the person I report to basically just directly report to the CEO of Pinduoduo. Was a pretty senior position. And however, what happens that back then was that I noticed two things. Yeah, which is the rule is always toilet on company time. First of all, on the very, very big floor, there are only two toilets, and there's always a big long line, you know, outside toilets. And according to my opinion, that is pretty not humane, right? And also, after getting to the office and really see the interviewers, I also noticed one thing, which is like every single person I see in the office, their face looked terrible. It's like the face like you had several like stay up late in the night, and you have the kind of face I would only see when people who have been clubbing for several days in a row, having had a lots of drinks, and the kind of face is like looks extremely unhealthy. Like every single person are just like that. Like their face look extremely unhealthy. And also, judging from those kind of points, I can immediately, reach a conclusion that this is not the company that I want to work for, right? And then I had this discussion with this girl working in Rednote. I was saying that, okay, these are the things I observe. I feel like that is not a very good company culture. So she shared a very different opinion. So she said that, well, actually, one of the greatest things, PDD did is that they make sure that everyone only focus on their one thing. However, everyone, once you started focusing one thing, I need to ask you to be so, so, so expert at the kind of thing you do, to a point that you are so good at what you're doing. So as a result, that's why that the company can grow so fast, right? So her opinion is like, I do not need you to know a lot of things. I do not you to do this and that, be very talented. I only need people who are just like machine. I only need machine like people who can act, work just like a machine. And then if everyone is just like a small machine, by adding up together, I have a big machine, and then somehow this big machine will be able to just produce a lot, manufacture a lot of things I want. Well, even though I disagree with that kind of company culture, that is definitely not the kind of company I work with. But judging from the results, that those kind of way of making, doing a business, making, running a company actually works. So I'm saying that because I want to demonstrate one thing, which is for those large companies. Okay. So for companies, they can be more humane, like Google. Okay. They provide their employees lots of benefits so that they want to attract the most talented people in here, and so that they can work not only comfortably, but also deliver a lot here in the company, right? But for large companies, if you are working for a large company, one of the things for sure you will be doing is that you will only be focusing on the small area that the company want you to focus. There's no way that you need to do this and that at a very single day in this single period of time, because that is not considered to be the most efficient. So if we look back in the days at how Ford, everyone know about Ford, right? So 福特汽车，对吧？福特汽车，福特的创始人 Ford. So the one of the reason why he was able to stand out back then, and his company become so big, and he became someone who's equally legendary as Rockefeller, as JP Morgan, is that he invented this one thing, which is mass production. And why mass production was successful was because he just told every single worker that instead of just building an entire car, you only need to focus on building one small thing, for example, a handle or a wheel or whatever. Everyone just focus on doing one small thing. There is a higher chance that you will be able to master that by doing a small thing rather than doing an entire thing. Okay, so everyone, you just focus on doing the kind of thing you're good at, and then together, oh, okay, we can have mass production. Everyone is gonna do things with extremely high efficiency, right? However, by becoming an entrepreneur, that's a whole different story, right? By becoming an entrepreneur, there's no way that, oh, okay, from day one, you invest lots of money and build a factory or a company where you can hire a lot of people, each one of them just focus on the tiny things. Even though you have the money and power to do that, you still need to be the person who know every tiny bit detail about the company, right? Because you need to be the person who must manage everyone. If you want to manage everyone, every department, you at least know what are the each department are doing, right? So I remember there was one speech that one of the most successful entrepreneur in China was sharing about. His name is called Lei Jun. I mentioned his name multiple times in here in my live stream, right? So for example, Lei Jun said one thing, like so we all know that one of the biggest thing Lei Jun did starting from last year he started to sell his new electric car. Like he's a new player in the e-car electric car field. Before it was already pretty clear that in the electric car industry there are altogether three companies that was considered to be the most successful one. The first is Neo, and the second is Xiaopen, and third is called Lixiang. The three brands, and all of them were listed in U.S. market. So it was also considered to be a relatively saturated market, and there are also other kind of uh, brands. Also, the biggest one I failed to mention is BYD, right? And still, given those kind of extremely competitive market, Leijun was able to find a way out and get into the market and be a new player. And right now, he's one of the top players in the industry as well. And so he said that, doing this, starting this new production line of electric car is like building a new startup within a large firm. And basically, what he did is like he started researching everything from tiny bit. He said that he has drove like thousands of cars before really getting into his car. So he basically just asked all the employees to do one thing, like, "Hey, I want to drive different cars. Just every employee, just tell me if you're willing to just let me drive your car. Just let me know. Okay, if you volunteer to let me drive, volunteer your car for me to drive, just let me know." So he basically drove so many cars of his employees, and then he was able to list it out everything about, okay, which car is good, which car is not good, what are the good thing about this car, what are the good bad things about that car, what are the kind of cars people want. And after doing so many different kinds of surveys and also getting to know about the industry in very detail, very thorough. So even though he does not come from a electric car background, he's not a car engineer himself. However, he did so many research and got to know so many things about electric car, every tiny bit about electric car, and that's why eventually when he really launched his car, when he was making the presentation to tens and thousands of people to tell the entire world what are the car that I'm building. I tell you what's good about the material I'm using. I tell you what's good about the system I'm using. I tell you what's good about this design we're using. Everything. There's no way he can say all of that without knowing them, right? So, as an entrepreneur, one of the greatest things we can get is we are having such a steep learning curve and get to know so many things rather than just working for a company and only knowing the kind of things in your small area. So that's why I say like becoming an entrepreneur is best, one of the best, if not the best decision I have ever made in my entire life. Yeah, entire life. It doesn't really matter if I can be successful or not in the future. It's just this step I have already taken already is pretty life changing. It's pretty life changing. I have this confidence. Like, say for example, if let's say, okay, say if it in the future eventually I want to return back to an office and in a company and working, no longer wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to take on a full-time job. Say for example, if that ever happened, I can definitely just be a lot better than without becoming an entrepreneur, because the kind of vision, the kind of mindset is completely different. So the kind of mindset after becoming an entrepreneur is that you are more able to see the forest rather than the tree. So that's the biggest thing. Okay, yeah. So it's 9 a.m. and thank you so much for my friends. Thank you so much, my friends, for joining the live stream today. And just one more last note for those of you who haven't followed me, don't forget to follow me. And for those of you who already follow, if you haven't really joined the Followers Club, join the Followers Club. Okay, this is our family. And also, just so you know, this is a very beautiful accessories. If you guys find this earring and also this necklace and this ring, this butterfly collection to be quite beautiful, you guys could go to check my curation list. Okay, 可以去看一下我的小清单. There are plenty of beautiful stuff in there, and they come with really good package, so don't worry if you want to use them as a gift, or it could also be good if you just want to wear them yourself. And they're absolutely stunning. I don't just pick any stuff randomly. I use them, I try them, I compared them with other stuff, so they are absolutely gorgeous design and also with great quality. Okay, great quality. So if you would like to check them up, you guys could go to my curation list. 可以去我的小清单哈。大家强调一下，可以去我的小清单看一下，去我的小清单。And how can you see my curation list? It's go to my profile page, not your profile page. Okay, go to my profile page, and then you will see a lot of videos. And just scroll right, and there is a button called curation. And inside curation, there are plenty of products in there. And for Americans, for Chinese people, no matter you're Hong Kong, Macau, or mainland China, these are the places where you could shop and have all the products shipped to your place. Okay. So thank you so much for joining the live stream today. And I look forward to seeing you guys again. Bye bye.